Hello everyone, welcome to Canada Readers. This is Kavya Hegde and today we will have an interesting book talk. I'm a little enthusiastic for today's book talk because we have a spectacularly special guest visiting to talk about a book which is basically about themselves. Let's invite the guest now. Hi. Welcome. Good afternoon, Eugenia Grims. Right. Good afternoon, I guess. We're pleased to have you. How are you today? Good, I guess. I don't necessarily know. The day's just begun. That's amazing. Do you want to introduce yourself a little bit? Sure, but I'm kind of confused about what's going on right now. Are you some type of social worker or psychiatrist? Oh, no, I'm sorry. Oh, I see. I'm really sorry. I forgot to introduce myself to you. By the way, my name is Kavya Hegde, and I'm your book interviewer today. We're going to talk about the book Anita Daher'a wrote, You Don't Have to Die in the End. Oh, right. That book. My life story, I guess. Yes, that book. And before continuing on with today's interview, I'm going to tell everyone a little bit about this book. Not the summary, not the synopsis or anything, but just why you should pick up and read this book. Looking into the unbalanced society of today's generation, this book really depicts the life of a teen, capturing all the details of trust, mistrust, experiences, whether it was a new excitement or various struggles, the lessons that has learned throughout. Told from a perspective of a 16-year-old Eugenia, we see how a troubled past does not have to define your future. We all have choices, opportunities, and decisions to make, and sometimes we need to learn these the hard way. Alright, this book seems really interesting, doesn't it? So, are you excited, Eugenia? Sure, I guess. So, basically, I heard that this book is in your point of view, so first point of view, right? Yep. Right. And you're the main character, which makes you the protagonist. And so the entire story basically rolls around you and your feelings. Stating the obvious, as I see. So why don't you tell us a bit about yourself or your thoughts about this book, Eugenia? Well, my name is Eugenia Grims. My pronouns are she and her. My mom left when I was 8, and my father died when I was 8. I have 2 brothers, Darcy and Jackson. And one fun fact is maybe I shoplifted when I was 12. There's really nothing interesting about me. Also, I guess you can say I got arrested when I was 16 for beating up someone nearly to death. And what I thought about the book, I read the whole thing. It's basically about me, so I don't think I'll have to think too hard. I guess you're right. And one thing I can assure you is that I live a non-chaotic life now, which is good, I guess. Thank you so much for sharing. I heard that you said it's been a year since you left the ranch, and I believe, or I'm pretty sure it's the main setting of the story, right? So why don't you talk a little bit about your experience at the ranch and maybe how you got there? Well, it was where most of my, you can call it changes, not improvements, happened. Well, I basically, as I said before, I beat up a girl named Justin almost to death. Are you alright? I'm sorry. Yeah. Well, it was basically a win or lose situation. Either I go to jail, meet my best friend forever, Luda, every day. Basically go to jail or go to the ranch, leaving Luda. In that situation, I think the ranch was a paradise to me until I actually went there. Okay, thank you for sharing. So, it was mentioned at the beginning of the book that you dropped out. Was there a reason? I believe it was mentioned in the book, but would you like to let the audience know a little bit so they could be more interested in reading the book and, understanding the book a little bit? Well, at the time I was going to school, I felt like I was just going to school to impress my pops. But after he left and Mal left, it just felt unnecessary. Although I had honor rolls and everything, but now I actually regret it and wish I had completed it. And I also thought Luda would, right. Well, let's just let the readers figure out that part. Right. Okay. Well, that's interesting. Well, do you want to describe how your dad looked? Because he seems like the main reason for your actions at the time. Ah, yes. I mean, the last time I remember seeing Pops was when I was 8. I could see him for the first time in a really long time. He was there. Like, I saw the creases on his face, the shadow under his eyes, with the lack of sleep, and the way his hair just was a bit too long and it would catch his shirt collar. Wow. Hopefully that wasn't too hard to talk about, but thank you so much. Well, I heard you were going to talk about Luda. So in the book, Luda is described as a person who talks a lot, loves to have fun and drinks a lot, goes to parties and wanders the street. She's also your best friend who is 16 years old. Well, why don't you tell us about how you would describe Luda, your best friend forever? I guess we can call each other a sibling from another mother. Well, they were my everything, friend, sibling, drinking buddy, partners in crime, just everything. All I can say is that they changed a lot. They changed pretty quickly, and it was complicated and unexpected. Oh, so they go by the pronouns they and them. Alright, so from what I can hear, you could call them a round and dynamic person. I guess that's the nice way to say it. So, would you say that you yourself changed a lot throughout your life experience and your experience at the ranch? My mind changed, but I'm still the same person. Just, I don't blame everything on myself anymore. I mean, maybe I still think that I'm the reason everyone and everything blows up, but it's just complicated. So basically, you also have a pretty complicated personality, and you've changed throughout, right? I guess. Alright, on to the next question. Who do you think the antagonist of your life or the story might be? I guess I'd say Noah. Do I have to explain how I met him? No, that's fine. Let the readers figure out. I think that part's really interesting, so maybe explain what type of personality he has and stuff like that. Well, I would describe Noah as a clear-cut person. He is straightforward and he feels like a person who has all his thoughts collected and isn't complicated like me. He really is a grown adult who knows what he's doing, and I guess you can't really say he changes. Yeah. I see. You're gonna ask me about other characters, aren't you? Okay. Well, I can just tell you about who I met at the ranch and the people who are important, I guess. Well, at first, maybe I could tell you about Frankie. My first thoughts about her was that she was short and slim. Her smile kind of made the room go warmer. She didn't look much like a troublemaker. And neither did Nathan. He was tall and goofy, looking Wrangler. His red hair was slicked back, ears sticking out like wings, and he spoke with a Eastern Coast accent. Well, I would go more in detail about Nathan. I guess he proved I would easily fall. Wait, never mind. I see. Interesting. Okay. Who else? I guess I can talk about the brothers at the ranch. Rick and Jimmy. Rick was short and stocky, and his brother was the total opposite, tall and tough. Ah, Rick and Jimmy. Yeah, I read the book, by the way. Okay, what about your brothers? Ah, yes, Darcy and Jackson. Darcy, I mean, I don't want to talk about him. He's really annoys me. But Jackson, he was always cheerful and happy, and still is not gonna lie, but he changed a lot after Pops and Mama left. He told me last time I met him, he looked really scared. I think he felt a type of responsibility, and he felt like he was gonna kill. Yeah. I mean, I knew it when Tammy told me that he was about to kill the horses at the ranch. I mean, he would never do that. But to me, he seemed normal, but scared to others. But he seems really complicated, and he is. I see. Is there anybody else you want to talk about? More? You realize I've talked more than I would do in a lifetime right now, right? I would not talk this much to anyone. Haha, right. You don't talk much. Well, there is still more to talk about, just saying. Alright, sadly, but gladly continue. What else should we talk about? I kind of feel comfortable talking to you. That's a compliment, by the way. OMG, that's so nice of you. Well, let's continue. Let's talk about some conflicts. Alright, what are some major conflicts that you want to talk about that happened at the ranch or throughout that phase of life? Isn't the whole point of this not like to encourage people to read the book and not for us to tell everything that happened in the book? That's right. Well, is there another type of conflict? I mean, as you know, there have been many conflicts, like regarding family, I guess. Well, you could say that I would always compare the past with the things that keep happening. Basically, after not being able to see Jackson for like years, and I saw Jackson coming out of the jail, I couldn't believe my eyes, of course. My brother Jersey and I were fighting all the time. And he kept telling me not to end up like my brother. And it was all complicated. Basically, a big family issue that I shouldered all on myself. I kept hoping the past would return, comparing the present with the past, how the family used to be really happy, and Jackson was the light, of course. I see. And what about like a person to person conflict? Huh? Oh, I mean like another conflict you might have had with another person. I see. I've had a lot of those. Can I talk about Luda? What about Noah? Sure. Well, Noah, at the time that this like program was introduced, Noah kind of helped me get into it. So, but to me, like as I have a major trust issue, I just thought this was some kind of trick to set me up. So every conversation with Noah, I kept going on about rights, like I've got the right to know like why you brought me here and why Noah took me in. I think there was so much more to understand about him. Well, there was many things I learned from him though. Okay. Well, why don't you talk about something you learned through the experience or you think the book would teach the readers, which would lead to the main topic of the book, I guess. What I learned. Let's say that I've always had a hard time trusting people, as I just mentioned. So I guess I can say, not that I trust people now, but I've learned to forgive people. Well, before I finished my days at the ranch, Heather and I talked a lot about forgiveness and trust. Well, rather, I talked and she listened. I came to understand that forgiving someone was more than you. It was more about feeling yourself. Trust is like the air we breathe. When it's present, nobody really notices, but when it's absent, everyone notices. Wow, your eyes glistened as you spoke those words. Would you like to say more about trust? Sure, if I were to say more about trust, I'd say putting your trust in others when you know they might fail takes a lot of guts. The trust you have in another person is what makes the relationship strong, though. I agree, that is true. I believe that sounds like it would be the thematic statement of this book, right? Thematic statement? One of those things you might learn in school. I see. We were learning that before I dropped out. But I think that was very well phrased. Well, maybe why don't you tell us 3 things that you remember saying or someone else saying that is regarding trust? There are so many things. You want only 3? Let's say the 3 most important ones. I remember her, Frankie, saying, "You trusted us, Eugenia. Nothing wrong with that." And yet, although she said those words, I thought we were friends. That's all I could say. And after the breakout, and the only thing that she could say back was, "We were not friends." Oh, I'm so sorry. Nah, nothing to be sorry about. Also, there was a time when I was talking to Noah and I realized that I had trust issues. And I said, "Trust? Yeah, I would have it, but I just needed more time." And thinking back at that, I think that's something that's really true. Like, every single thing in this world comes with time, and sometimes there is just not enough time. True, like you need time to know the other person. Yeah, exactly. And sometimes you believe that you know them, but they just change. Right. And your last quote? Um, let's see. There was a time when I was at the ranch. I was left to do some work, and in the quote unquote office room, Melvin, and he just left the door open, and I knew he meant it to stay open that way, and he didn't trust me. And that's when I realized how hard it was to earn people's trust, just as it's so hard to trust them. Oh, I see. So what's next, Lol? Ah, I see you're already prepared. You're getting a hang of this now. So, have you ever read another article that you would totally compare it to the life story or anything related that happened in your community? Well, I guess as we know, we are struggling through so much nowadays, especially the stupid pandemic. I mean, there is terms with your lingering pandemic trust issues, aren't there? Most of us spend time thinking the following government's guidelines, hoping to, you know, like hoping that the pandemic would end. Yeah, exactly. But did it end? No. We know that this is not their fault that COVID mutated into variants, but did the people lose the trust they had? Right? But for the second wave, the government did achieve the trust. Since it worked out, we almost completely got rid of COVID, right? It's hard to convince people to trust them. It's creating a relationship. You need to have honesty. And they received the trust. And that is why now we trust to do the same process again to get rid of this variant. You're totally right. I see it. So, I think I should have asked you this first, but would you compare this to another book that is, relevant to this event? Let's see. First of all, I don't read many articles, but I guess there's a lot of business trust issues nowadays, like just like what happened in my life. You think they are with you, you trust them, but they end up betraying you. Finally, my last question. Would you compare this book to another book like you read in high school or something? I haven't read so many books. I guess we could compare it to that classic Romeo and Juliet Shakespeare story. Sorry, I didn't put much thought into this answer, but that's the only one I could remember that I read. That's totally fine. So how would you compare it? Alright, so connecting to this Romeo and Juliet, I think they both correlate with respect and trust because Romeo is a Montague and their previous history, the Montagues and Capulets had fought. They discharged his sincere feelings for Juliet, and who is a Capulet, right? This is similar to my first encounterment with Tammy. Like, my reputation was completely based on my brother. Trust also plays a role because Juliet's family doesn't trust her feelings for Romeo either. They just think that it's a lingering feeling and it's wrong for her to love a Montague, and this resulted in death. In the story, I think it's similar because I believe that Frankie would have trusted me and listened to me for what I say, but as I said, it just didn't. I was wrong. Like, I thought I was her friend, but she said I wasn't. To be completely honest, I'll tell you that I've been wrong about so many things in life, and I'm glad that I realized it. Yes, and I'm glad that you explained it to us, and I can really see the connection between the two stories, which are from totally different eras and genres. Ah, yes. Well, we came to the end of today's episode. So, Eugenia, did you have fun today? Sure, I guess. Alright, well, let me give you my little review of this book before ending. Maybe I'm a little bit biased, but this is a great story. It's one of those stories that you lose yourself in as you experience the highs and lows of Eugenia's life. Maybe I'm a little bit biased, but this is a great story. It's one of those stories that you lose yourself in as you experience the highs and lows of Eugenia's life. And I really like the way they used pronouns. Like, it really depicts today's generation. And Anita Daher'a's character development is excellent as we are drawn into the lives of the character and their stories. It is really inspiring to know that there really are places in the world like the ranch with people committed to helping tough kids learn about life and themselves. And I highly recommend you to read this book, and I personally would give it 5 stars. Well, thank you. Bye, everyone. Have a great day. Hope you enjoy. Well, I enjoy the enthusiasm you got there, and I hope nothing dark replenishes your future.